Hello everyone. I wanted to pop on today and have a quick little chat about making assumptions. Okay, so first I want to start off by saying that our brains are wired to make assumptions. Our brains don't like things that are unknown, so what it does when it doesn't know the details of something is it makes assumptions. And this is actually a good thing because it increases our brain efficiency, it increases our cognitive load, and there are many assumptions that we make on a day-to-day basis that are actually good and that we want to keep them. Now think about it. If we didn't make assumptions, we'd have to question everything over and over again, and it would just take a very long time to get anything done in our life. So on that regard, assumptions are great, and our brains are totally functioning fine when they make assumptions. However, when it comes to relationships, making assumptions could be like having a terrible case of termites in your relationship. It will erode the very core of your relationship. It erodes trust, and it suffocates and stifles communication in the process. So here's what I want you to remember when it comes to making assumptions in relationships. And when I say relationships, I'm referring to all different kinds of relationships, not just romantic ones. And even this actually does apply when you're making any assumptions about your life in general. Just because you think a thought doesn't necessarily mean it's true. But what we often do is we have this innate need to want to be right, even if being right doesn't serve us. We'd rather be right than be happy. And so we make assumptions and then we try to justify those, right? And when you believe an assumption, so you make an assumption and then you believe it to be true, you tend to react more with judgment, blame, criticism, defensiveness, making accusations. It is the fastest way to disconnect in any relationship. So we do all this only because we did not have the capacity to pause, stop, and reflect on where perhaps we're making some assumptions and where those assumptions could potentially be wrong. So if you're finding yourself in a situation where you are justifying a lot, blaming, criticizing, defending, doing all these things, and it feels very negative to you to be in this situation, I really want you to take a moment and ask yourself, take a moment and actually drop all of your assumptions altogether. And in fact, I want you to flip it and reverse it. I want you to assume you don't know. Instead of assuming you have all the answers and you know how a situation is going to work out, or you know how someone thinks or how they feel or what's going on, drop all that and just assume you don't know. What happens is you will approach the situation completely differently. Suddenly, you're not going to be defensive and righteous in your accusations and assumptions anymore. You're going to approach it with a curiosity. And when we don't know the answer, or when we assume we don't know the answer, we ask a lot of questions. We approach it more with a curious mindset to try to fill in the details that we don't know. So we ask questions. We ask for clarification from people. Something I love to do with my partner and others is to say, is this what you're saying? Are you saying? And then me put in what I'm hearing them say. And more often than not, I can tell you I'm usually wrong. That's not what they're saying. I've created some kind of assumption in my mind. And it really helps to go through life realizing that we don't have all the answers. It's a little bit uncomfortable for some, especially when, like I said at the beginning, we do want to have the answers. We want to be right. We think we know the answers. But it's also very important equally to have a bit of humility and question where perhaps you're making some assumptions that could be wrong. Okay, guys, so that's what I've got for you today on the topic of assumptions. I hope you have a great rest of the week. Thank you so much. Be well.